lived for 20 years in Australia. I started off in Sydney, lots of friends there, and moved up to Cairns or to Queensland, ran my own business, and then started working for a large company, which then allowed me to travel. Met many people from all around the world. And then finally, one of my jobs now is to come to Bahrain. My journey becoming Muslim starts back in South Africa. I was raised a Catholic, born and raised a Catholic. I would go to the Sunday school and go to all the classes, and my mum, being the Catholic, would have almost answers for me. I had lots of questions, and I was a stubborn child. That hasn't changed as I've got older. Still a child, but just still stubborn. And I couldn't get the answers that I wanted. I wanted to know where things came from. I wanted to know why. I wanted to know the science behind things. I'm a scientist by nature and questioning everything. And I don't think my mum was able to answer the questions, and the people that I would ask the questions of also couldn't answer. And eventually I had enough things happen in my life that I started to question that basically I was on my own and I needed to be on my own. And if I was going to get anywhere by myself, it would be on my own. I would be the master of my own destiny. I would solve all the answers, solve all the questions. It wasn't me. In my travels through, as I said, I made lots of friends in Sydney. There's a huge Lebanese community or Muslim community there, and many of the people that I worked with were Muslim. By this stage, I had abandoned Christianity. I was calling myself an atheist. I came to question that later, though, but calling myself an atheist and just not believing in myself. But the people that I was talking to, I was raised to be very respectful and to respect cultures. I mean, the country that I came from, South Africa, is a melting pot of many different religions, many different people and cultures and things. And so if you can't absorb that and be at one with it, then you're just not going to last there very long. And so I took those lessons with me to Australia. In Australia, it's even more accepting, even more friendly. It's even more, they're very gregarious with their information, and they're very, very helpful. And of course, I met Muslim people who were working for me, and they would, I remember one young apprentice that I had, it was Ramadan, and he was supposed to be, I didn't know anything about Ramadan. I mean, I knew the name, but that was about it. And he was supposed to be fasting. And of course, none of us were Muslims, so we didn't know what to do. And then I saw him eating something, and I was teasing him, like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be doing that. I don't want to be struck by lightning. He said, no, that doesn't happen in Islam. It doesn't. A little bit ignorant. But then I was asking him, what do I need to do to help you to do this right? And so he was just a young kid, and he was, he didn't follow it very well. But he did make me promise not to tell his mother, which I found cute. Anyway, so moving on, moving to Queensland, didn't have any interactions with Muslims there, got on with my life. And then I started working for a very large international company, and then started meeting more people from different cultures, and of course having this constant influence. One of the people that I worked with, he was of a different religion. He was very strict, Seventh-day Adventist, I think it was. And so we would be having this debate about the Bible. We'd be continually talking about Christianity and things. And so having been brought up very religious, having known, read parts of the Bible and even tried to read it myself, it's a very difficult book to read, actually. And we'd be having these questions, and he'd be asking, well, if you know so much about the Bible, why aren't you a Christian? I said, no, because there's just things that I just can't believe in there. There's things that are just not right. And we'd just keep this little battle that was ongoing. And I'd repeat these same conversations with other religious people that I'd had. And usually I'd come out on top, having asked the same questions about, why is this? Why, do you know that the Book of Kings, for instance, is not really as accurate as you'd like it to think? And why is there a different version of that Bible to this Bible? Why is it called the King James Version? And these little things. And it would stump a lot of them, and I'd feel, I'm good. I won that one. Coming to Bahrain, of course, I'm now in the middle of an Islamic country. The Sharia law is here. I hadn't read any of the Quran at this stage, but you hear things and you read things and you talk to people. And I find it fascinating. I do. I love history. And one of the best things that I learned about Quran when I started reading it is that it's a history book, and it has it's factual things that have happened, and it's a real person that you could absolutely guarantee was genuinely alive. Like there's not even a question that Muhammad was alive, peace be upon him. And I just started to meet other friends. One of the best things I did in Bahrain was buy a motorbike. And as soon as, of course, you buy a motorbike, you make lots of friends. And most of them are Muslim, and they have these just gentle conversations. And it's such a way of life. It's an easy way of life. It permeates everything. It's not intrusive. It's this gentle conversation, and it's everywhere. There's in the writing. Like I said, in conversations, and having close friends of mine, and we started to talk about the Quran, because now it's a good conversation to have, because everybody knows a little bit about it, and I'm learning, and asking the questions, talking the same questions I had always, and then I would be asked the questions about Christianity, which I could still mostly remember the answers I'd had many years ago, and it started to dawn on me. And I remember having a bit of a moment at work, where there's a Christian guy at work who's he's very much his evangelist. So he's right into preaching, and he'll go to church for 6 hours, and he really helps people, which is fantastic. And so we'd have religious conversations. For someone who used to purport to be an atheist, to have so many religious conversations, it is interesting. Anyway, and I remember saying to him once, about a week or so before I decided what it was that I was, and that I needed to go back, it's important to believe. It doesn't matter what you believe, but it is very important that you believe. And he kind of looked at me funny and thought nothing of it. And then I went for a walk, and I was thinking about that. And that's when I realized that I was actually a Muslim already. It wasn't the way that I'd been living, the way that I'd been behaving, and that I wanted to believe. I'd wanted to call myself an atheist. I'd wanted to be my own person and stand on my own 2 feet for so long. And but it was in that moment when I realized that I needed to come home, essentially, to have that faith. And it was a very still moment for me. So I didn't say much of it. I went home, and I'd went to say this Shahada, which was really cool. It was very, very, very calming as well. There was, again, that stillness, like the blood was flowing the right way around my body again. It was great. And since then, it's been really, really pleasant. It just has been it's just a feeling of peace. Before, there was this conflict inside me, which I hadn't recognized really. I'm a particularly hyperactive person. I need to be on the move, and I need to talk. My idea of relaxing is doing something pretty fast-paced. But in myself, I've noticed a certain stillness that's just quite relaxed. I'm definitely able to make better decisions, I think. I mean, I've only been a revert for a few months now. I no longer feel like I have to have all the answers myself all the time. I still work very hard to find the answers, but if I don't have those answers straight away, I know that they will come. And I know it, not like I believe they'll come. I just know that they will come. And I'm not going to say that's completely on Islam, but maybe it's a maturing of my attitude. It's calming down, and that maturing I put definitely on Islam. My sister was over the moon. She was really happy with me. It was not a reaction I was expecting. I will confess that I'm not brave enough to tell my mother just yet. But that's a conversation I will be having with her face to face. I owe her that much to have that, which I will have. I'm not scared of having the conversation. Just I want to tell it, face to face, because she'll have questions that a conversation, a Skype phone call or a WhatsApp call is not going to be able to answer. So, yeah, I'd like to see her reaction as well. My friends have been amazing. I've never had so many hugs from guys in my life. Really, that was quite cool. That was really cool. I just out of people that I would normally like very stern and they'd be quite rigid, and when they'd worked out that I'd reverted to Islam, the first thing I get was a cuddle, like, oh, welcome. Um, that was unexpected but quite nice. Some of them have been great. My evangelist friend at work, our religious conversations have actually increased. And he keeps asking me lots of questions. And so now I'm armed with a little bit more knowledge, and I'm reminding him of things. We were talking about the Trinity just last week. I had been driving, and so I had the steering wheel in front of me, and I said, I'm pointing to myself in the middle of the steering wheel. I said, well, if I'm here and I need to speak to Allah or to God, I really shouldn't need to speak to any of these other people here. I can just go straight to the boss. If you want the answer, you go straight to the boss. And he went, no, but we have to. No, we don't. We just go. So that's a conversation we'll continue to have. But yeah, and that's just my friends have been very accepting, even the ones I thought that wouldn't. It's very easy to go and along a path that you think is right and think that you have to plow your own way. You don't. The answers are there, and there's lots of people to actually help understand it. Try and understand what it is about Islam that you need to know. It's a huge religion with a huge following, and I think we owe it to our fellow people to understand as little, even just a little bit, of what it is that makes people tick. By understanding that, we can communicate better. We can understand where someone's coming from better. If I think about what I know now compared to what I knew in Australia, which is just a few months ago, I was so ignorant of what the religion stood for and what it actually meant. The media gets it all wrong, everything. Find out the answers. There are lots of people that can actually, just the simple things about ablution, the simple things about prayer, the simple things about what people have to do and why they do it, like the abaya, which is probably the biggest misunderstood thing, I think, in Australia. It's simple. And just by finding out the questions, by opening themselves up to just allow themselves to ask that question, in time they might even find that they are drawn to the religion, that they are drawn to find it more and hopefully revert themselves. It might not be the end goal, but at least it would create a huge communication, build a bridge. I think that's very important.